Hey again, everyone. Dixie here. So, I think that this has been a really useful way to kind of just give off the cuff kind of commentary about where I'm at. Last night, after I had finished recording my cast assessment, we were split into our four tribes, which I think most of us expected it to be four. I think there was a chance that it could have been two tribes of 16, God forbid, or even eight tribes of four. And so I'm just really grateful that it wasn't either of those and that we're in pretty manageable standard sized groups, especially for a yogi game. I'm expecting a lot of double boots for the first phase here, and then potentially a triple boot or two for the first 4 rounds or so, then probably a swap. And then eventually we will hopefully be around to merge. In terms of the tribes, I'm just going to kind of go through here before I do my own tribe assessment and give some just preliminary thoughts. Limgrave. The first thing that I thought when I saw this group is it's definitely a brofest. I think that there's a connection between Conquer, Zag, and Zero that could easily form. Evie is a really adaptable player, so I could see her somehow getting her bearings here. I don't know a lot about Symmetra, but I think she's generally pretty capable, at least in the beginning stages. So I think that Hamtaro and maybe Crash could find themselves in trouble here, just based on the overall vibe. I feel like I'm glad that I'm not on this tribe. It would probably be like the third tribe in terms of like how good versus bad it would have been. There's Evie here who would have been an instant connection for me, and I do think that I could have worked with several of these people. There are no nopes here, which is kind of a plus, but there's definitely just, I think generally this is a pass for me in terms of the crew. I would have question marks about Crash, Hamtaro, Nate, Symmetra, Zagreus, and probably Conqueror too. I think Evie and Zero would be two people that I would want to maybe look to work with, but yeah. I'm going on to Kaled. So my first thought seeing this group is that a lot of my strong connections are here. And I think that's actually going to serve Ochette really well, being with Spyro and Aerith, and then a lot of people from her original season as well, such as Steve and Sully. I think just based on what I know of Aerith's kind of feelings about Carrie, that Carrie could be in trouble, but I have no idea how Sly and Sindel will do socially, so we'll have to see. I also have really no idea what to think of Sully's position in this group. So it'll be interesting. And then I think Steve's also kind of a wild card. So really, it just depends. You've got, actually, this is kind of wild because you have the final three of season 4 together, which I just noticed. And we'll see if they end up kind of working together or wanting to distance themselves. I feel like there's definitely an easy trifecta for Spyro, Aerith, and Ochette to all work together, but 3 is not majority in 8. But I think they have some room to move. I think if you had taken me and dropped me into this tribe in place of one of the 5 people on this tribe that I don't consider a close friend outside of the game, that it would have been good for me, but it also might have been a little bit too convenient. And I like the fact that I'm not locked in with pre-existing relationships so much at this point. I like the fact that Ochette and I kind of have the opportunity to do our own thing for once, because we played 2 games last year and we're together basically the entire time in both of them. We got first and second, and then third and fourth in the games that we played. And we were only not on the same tribe for 3 rounds at the beginning of Void 5. So I am excited to see what Ochette does here. I think this is a good draw for her, though. I think it's generally pretty good. I don't think she has much of a relationship with Carrie or Sly or Sindel, and I know that she can work her magic with them, so we'll just have to see. We'll have to see what happens. But I would probably say that this is probably like almost too good. I think that if you have too many people that you're instantly ready to work with, it can be almost the opposite problem of having nobody that you want to work with. So I think I would actually rank this the second of tribes that I would have wanted to be on, which brings me to my tribe, Liurnia. I'm very pleased with this group. It's exciting because I've never actually been able to work with Celestia in a game before. We've rarely been in the same game together. I think the one time that we was back in 2020, and she was voted out before the merge. Unfortunately, it was a really long pre-merge, and she was like one of the last people voted out. And so we didn't get to work together in that game. We were on the jury together, and it was in the days of jury groups. We were on the same jury group, and I love Tyler, so I'm really excited to be with Tyler. I'm going to talk more about this group in my kind of rankings portion, but overall, I'm very happy with this group. I think it's myself, somebody that I really like, and 3 people that I identified as I like you before the tribes are sorted. So yeah. That brings us to Altus Plateau, which looks like an absolute dumpster fire. I'm so grateful that I am not on Altus Plateau with some of these people. I feel bad for Daisy and Drybones and Quilava. I don't know anything about Geralt, but I feel as though Sailor Ironmouse and Urbosa and DK is going to be a lot for these people to deal with. So we'll see how that goes for them. Just talking about Liurnia, I just put everybody in here. So just initial thoughts, it's interesting. So if you consider that Celestia is also Chandler from HOHH, you actually have 3 winners on this tribe, which is interesting. 3 Yogi winners. Another kind of interesting tidbit, just factually speaking, is that Celestia, myself, and Leah all won our seasons of Void, season 1, 4, and 5, respectively. So this is a very winning group. There's also 4 people from season 3, including myself. Laura and I were the final 3 with Aerith, and we were the top 2 vote getters. Banjo went out at final 6 when there was a tie and a rock draw. And then Vivian was honestly playing a very interesting game in season 3 before she came back and won season 5. Vivian and I started out on the same tribe together, Bandit, and there was a mechanic in Mushroom Kingdom where, in addition to idols and money for the merge auction, you could find phones, and those would allow you to communicate with people on other tribes. And Vivian found one really early on and basically used it to foster really solid connections with another tribe. And so she was kind of a double agent. And when the merge came around, she really, aside from me, she didn't really like our starting tribe. And so she was definitely not loyal to me in the long run. It was kind of crazy. The final 11 of Battle Royale, just a little trivia. Battle Royale 3, Zero, Laura, Tally, and I had a group chat called Sanity where we were basically we considered ourselves kind of the only sane people, because a lot of people were being really messy. And Banjo, Laura, and Zero had all been on a starting tribe together with Urbosa. And Urbosa, for reasons, really wanted to blindside Banjo. Um, and she was close with Laura, so she leaked that to Laura. Zero had an idol. There were a lot of idols in season 3. And so he decided that he would use his idol on Banjo, because basically everybody was voting for him outside of our group. Laura ended up voting against Banjo too that round just because she was kind of playing double agent. But what Banjo, Tally, myself, and Zero did is we decided to do a minority vote split. And originally it was going to be Naburu and Dry Bones, but I kind of put my foot down because I really wanted it to be Vivian because I was learning a bunch about just the way that she was playing all sides, and she also had accrued a number of advantages at that point. So we ended up successfully idling Banjo, and then our votes were split 2 on Naburu and 2 on Vivian. And Vivian basically told me in DM during the revote period that I had better hope that she went home or she would basically comfort me with everything she had. So I quickly made sure that Vivian was the one who went in that tiebreaker. And so she was kind of robbed. She was playing a really interesting game, and so I was really excited to watch her come back. And then she really played a good game, worthy of a win in season 5. But yeah, so that's just an interesting kind of summary of the season 3 dynamics. I know Vivian, Celestia, and Banjo were all in the final 6 of season 5, and I think Vivian was part of the reason that Celestia and Banjo went home at 6 and 5. So that's an interesting kind of dynamic. I don't remember if Leah and Doomslayer were close in season 4. And then we have Sailor V, who is our only representative from season 2. And then I guess we don't have any season 1 people. In terms of kind of where folks were in my initial ranking, Banjo was kind of an I like you. Celestia was a bestie. I wasn't in my rankings. I just put my little face in here for context. I'm obviously going to put myself in bestie because if you don't love yourself, how are you supposed to love anybody else? Doomslayer was in the well, maybe. Same with Laura, I think. And then I think Leah and Sailor V were both I like yous, and Vivian was a well, maybe. So I pretty much made out pretty well in terms of the breakdown here. So over half of my tribe are people that I was really excited to see, and then people that I'm happy to see. And then the 3 that I'm kind of unsure about, I think most of them are workable. I'm trying to think of how things may have changed just since we've been in tribes. So Leah, unfortunately, hasn't really been around much. We've chatted a little. I mean, this has been a slow burn to start. So unfortunately, I think that she might be a target if we end up losing. At the same time, Laura, I like Laura, but she's really been in my DMs, and so I have a feeling she's not sure how secure she feels in this tribe. I think I would maybe move Doomslayer up because Denny and I have been talking a bit, And so I think that that's going to be a working relationship. I know Celestia really likes a Doomslayer, and I definitely am trying to take to heart kind of Yogi's suggestion that we don't consider outside org kind of history. Um, and so I'm really trying to keep a very open mind with Benny, and I think he's going to do the same. I really like Sailor V and Banjo too, though. So I think I might keep them in I Like You, but I think that they would basically be 2 and 3 after Celestia. Then maybe put Doomslayer at 4, Vivian at 5, and then I think my gut is to get rid of Laura here first, just because I am so sorry to say that I don't really trust her for kind of various reasons. I don't get the impression that she feels particularly locked in. That said, if Leah's not around, it might have to be just an easy consensus least active person boot, which would be really tragic because I would really like the opportunity to work with Leah. And I don't know, I'm kind of 2 minds. I feel like Leah's the kind of player that if you keep her around, she can definitely become a threat. But I also think that she's somebody that I can work with. So I kind of don't want to get rid of her. I just don't know that it's worth dying on a hill. Optimally, we would just go on a winning streak, but I think we need to be prepared for anything. So yeah, I kind of have my little buffer of maybe who I'd be willing to vote right now and who I'm definitely not interested in voting. I definitely feel as though Ty/Celestia and I are dialed in as number ones, ride or dies here. So I'm really excited to hopefully run this thing with her and see where it goes. It's been a slow burn, but I'm glad that we're in tribes, but I'm just kind of ready for the ball to roll. So it's like tomorrow night can't come soon enough. I'm ready for challenges. Anyway, we'll see how this goes, but I'm feeling cautiously optimistic. Very optimistic. And we will see where it goes. So thanks for tuning in. Dixie out. I will be in touch soon.